So, okay, hello again. We're starting the class, and guess what? We're about to start last unit number 5, which is about business presentations. But in order to go to that unit, today we're going to talk about vocabulary. That's it. It's going to be about vocabulary. You're going to have a little exercise, a little assignment of our vocabulary for this week, because we're going to keep working with business pitches from last week. You remember that for this week, you are submitting a short video that we're going to put together, and then you're going to have a discussion. So since that's happening, you already know one of the homeworks that's going to happen for this week. And the second one, it's about a little exercise with some vocabulary that it will be useful that you practice it. Most of that vocabulary you may already known it. You should know it, and you must get to know it because it's very useful and it's normal, regular business vocabulary. But it's just normal vocabulary, but it's just that it's not that common that is just in any conversation, but it's fairly easy to understand what it is, since you could understand what it is in Spanish, and also you could be understanding what it is in English, because most of this vocabulary are cognados. What we said, that it has like the very same roots in Spanish and in English, and it also sounds very similar. It's written very similar and it sounds very similar. That's why it's kind of easy to understand this type of vocabulary and the use of this type of vocabulary. So again, we're talking about businesses. We keep with the business pitches and we keep moving towards business presentation. All right. So let me start sharing. I had some slides prepared for this. Like I said, it's about vocabulary, and it's going to be a lot about reading and trying to explain what these words may mean, or the meaning of this, and the agreements or documents that you may be encountering in this type of world, the business world, so or like the professional world for an engineer. So this time we're going to go for unit number 4, and we're going to start going to the first part of it, which is the structure and common terminology in basic business documentation. So that's what we're going to be covering today, like I said, about vocabulary. And like it says in there, structure and common terminology in basic business documentation. Therefore, we're going to talk about the documents, basic documentation that you should have in business, and we're going to define those, the basic vocabulary about that. That's why we're going to go ahead and start with those. And like I said at first, we're going to go first with separate vocabulary, which is a glossary. We're going to go work with a glossary right now. Very common words that you're going to see in business. And so let's start going with those. And we're going to go with the first one, which is access, rights, permission. Okay. So any business, any association will need to have those type of documents. So it means the access, rights, permissions. It means types of documents that are protected against unauthorized access. So you may need access and rights. That's it. Administration, that's an easy one because it's a cognate, like I said, like I mentioned, it's just a cognate. For those that are comfortable making additions and changes to the structure and usage of their system. Then we can talk about that you could be using this. This is an example. You could use it as the administration menu, the administration for it, the administration building, the administration stuff. which is people that work for the administration. Archiving, not achieving, archiving, archive. This is one of the exceptions where, well, not actually the exception. The sound, there's a common sound with CH, which for us English speakers, it sounds like either Q or K. There are a few exemptions where you can have the sound equal to sh, like the one that we have in Spanish, but this one is archiving. So this is normally for, it could be for a long term or for permanent storage of documents. And like what we know right now, it could be digital or it could be some paper document. Audit trail, and like we said, it's oh, and I'm taking it from an example, and that's why you keep on seeing DM, 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 and so it's a simple glossary from the document management. You can see the source over there. So now the trail, you could have either a software or a particular document that it keeps the trail of the audit, what we call it in Spanish, trazabilidad of the audit. So this includes views, changes, content, edits, and etc. So what happened through an audit. All right. Any questions from this? I may ask you to read something later on, so just make sure to pay attention, because if I mention your name, you're up for the challenge. So you may be reading something. And remember that DM means document management on this section for the glossary. So next one will be annotations, very easy. So it's about, could be in paper documents, or it will be like the tools for productivity to keep following. You can have annotations for something registered, like some evidence. It provides some functionality with the ability to mark up records. You could have it on sticky notes, highlights, reductions, and more, etc. Backup, something that we already use, this term, we already use it in Spanish because it has a sense when you're talking about using a computer. So this is a procedure in which the archived documents and data creates a redundant copy. So that's a backup. It's a copy of the data, basically. And normally it's the terminology for this is used about in technology, on IT. Capture, something that you should be able to relate with. This type of word, you could say about capturing a picture. You could say it about changing the type of document like it's in paper and put it in, or scanning it, put it on a scanner, or taking a picture of it and convert that one into a different type of document, which is a digital document. So it's paper to digital. Check in, check out. Much like a book in public library, specific documents can be said be altered by only a single user at a time. What does that mean? If I'm using something and it could establish a record where I check in when I start using that document or that software, which is in the whole company, and then I can check out. It's similar like what we do with any, maybe if we go to the social network, whatever it is, if you go to Facebook and you log in, it will be understood like checking in. And if you log out, it will be understood like checking out. All right. So it could be in a document or it could be digital too. All right. Let's keep moving because there's a lot of information like this. So we need to just keep moving forward. Collaboration, a cognate. It's like the same as in Spanish. These are related to documents that are needed for a number of users. that are collaborating. So it's a document that is made or is done by collaboration of work from different people. Configuration. No two filing cabinets are exactly the same. So it's like the configuration, the customary options for something, the settings of something, las configuraciones. But you said that in Spanish in a different way, right? I'm trying to think about that, but if I remember the word in Spanish, I'll let you know. If not, it's better because then we're not using it. Just like no two electronic filing cabinets are the same, configuration is the process in which your repository is customized to the exact needs of or for each specific documents and or process in your business. Digital signature. Nowadays, it's becoming very common. A digital signature could be digital message, or it could be something encrypted, like a different software that you could be using for yourself, and it will have legal value. So there are different companies that right now at this moment work with this. They secure your digital information with your digital signature, and it's valuable. So yeah, you need to get familiar with this word. Digital signature is based on cryptography. This is a way to validate a digital message or document's validity and authenticity. There are different types of digital signatures, like our government for financial purposes. Our government uses a type of digital signature in every invoice, en las facturas. But every individual can have a digital signature, like I was saying, and there are companies that are dedicated just to keep your data secure with your digital signature. Disaster recovery, an area of security planning that aims to protect an organization from the effects of significant negative events. Like if some disaster happens, like some natural or something that the man can be doing. So it keeps to maintaining a quickly resume mission critical functions. So a disaster recovery, it's related to a strategy to be able to recover if something happened. So in case of contingency. And yeah, you could be having that for probably for equipment, electronic equipment like computers. And you could have the people who from IT or the people who manages the TIC, which is, I mean, I'm talking about something very similar there, that they could be managing that sort of information for a recovery. We also have, there's a lot of more words, so just be patient with this. Document imaging, the process of scanning paper documents to an electronic format. And if we're saying document imaging, so we are referring that we are making it through images. Drag and drop, move an electronic document easily from one part to another. Drag and drop, like for example, you have a file on your desktop on your computer, so you take it with your mouse, you click it, and then move it to a different location in your computer. Instead of being in the desktop, you move it to a different folder. And it could be even in a different hard drive. You don't know, well, who knows? So you could also use that option as save as. Electronic signature, we refer to that one also. So it could use the sound, a symbol, or process to sign an electronic transaction. Encryption, encrypted, the process of converting information or data into a code to make it more safe. ECM, or which is related to enterprise content management, which are the strategies, methods, and tools used to capture, manage, store, preserve, and deliver content and documents related to the organizational process. the ECM, Enterprise Content Management. You're gonna see a lot of acronyms. When you go to a company, you're gonna get used to so many different acronyms that that special company uses for their management, plus these type of words and acronyms that we are mentioning in this class. Forms processing, a process by which one can capture information, enter into data fields, and add the data directly into a database. So basically about taking data and putting it together into a database, like something like company names, addresses, values, customer ID, etc. Full text search, the ability to search the entire text of a document to find the word or phrase. For example, we do this a lot with PDF documents. You can just type a word. Well, you can also do it with Word documents. You can type and search, and that's actually the full text search. Just search for some words or for some phrases, but that's an ability. If you don't use a computer, that's also an ability. Indexing. In order to find your documents, you first need to describe them. Indexing is a process of tagging your documents with descriptions that will allow you to find them with ease. When you have so many different documents, this is what you do. You index them. You index them. Los acomodan. Okay, integration. This allows you to access the functionality of document management software from within other software programs. That's about integrating. If we are talking about different softwares, if we talk about integration, is that they can share information between each other. All right. So let's keep on moving. Licensing. Legal instrument governing the use or distribution of software. The combination of licenses selected is what will determine the actions and abilities of the software. You're going to hear this a lot once you start on working on a business or working for any different company. Legally licensing. So there's no more things like, oh, I'm just gonna get a fake copy. No, because you're against the law. I'm not implying that students do that, but kind of like the reality. Life cycle, from creation to use to archival or destruction. Since we're talking about business management, document management, which it was like the DM, not from my name, but for documents. This is about the life for the documents. So if we archive them or if we destroy them. So every business has a life cycle. You need to know what is the one from your company. And there are softwares that will help you keep that. So it's like, I can be having documents from 15 or 20 years ago, and it's probably not good to just keep those documents because it's a lot of space. Even if it is digital space, it still is a lot of space, and it costs you. So I can just erase them if they are older than 5 years or 10 years. It will depend on your company. Mobile access. Secure access to a document repository for defined users through any web connected devices. You can get access to from different locations, like what we're doing right now, working remotely from all the job facilities. There's a lot of people working at their houses, and they need mobile access to their physical computers at the job. And so that's a very common term right now. PDF or A is a standardization version of portal document format. That's what it means, PDF. Specialized for use in the archiving and long-term preservation in electronic documents. It's easier to just read a PDF document that keep a different, like Word or any other type of documents, because if you have a new version of it, it tends to switch or to move different or not show you all of the information of the document. So it's usually better to just keep moving all of the documents into that type of format, the portable document format. There's a lot of more, just a little bit more. Recognition, OCR, ICR, and OMR. The OCR, it's the program that can convert the characters on the page into a text document that can be read by a word processing program. The ICR, which is intelligent character recognition, is the computer translation of manually handwritten text characters into machine readable characters. Usually you will do that using different type of softwares, probably using a scanner or a cell phone application, and then it will be converting handwriting to typewriting. OMR, optical mark reading, is a method for entering data into a computer system, which is optical. It will have readers, and it's what I have seen, it's like pencils or pen that you just put them on top of what you need to read, and they are taking the information from the document, and you can just switch it to digital information. Records management refers to a set of activities required for systematically controlling the creation, distribution, use, maintenance, and disposition of record information maintained as evidence of business activities and transactions. And again, you could be using a software for this because that will make your life easier. Okay, so I believe that this is almost the last one. Remote access, similar like the one that we were saying before. It's about getting access remotely. Repository, where your business documents are stored. It's like it could be a physical archive or it could be a digital one. Scalability, the ability of software product to start small but expand to support more and more for the business. So keeps going. So that's scalability. Scanning, you already know that one. I don't need to explain that one. Software developer kit allows your business to write applications to support your business process. Then we go to the one about tasks, movement of documents or items through a sequence of actions or workflows that are related to a business process. Taxonomy, the structure you give your documents. Revision control or version control. This is a key component, and you will see this one into, well, not just document management. This is part of quality management. So in quality management, you do have versions of the documents, and it's easier to know when the original document was created. The version is usually a code, which could have letters and numbers. Workflow, putting your documents and the related information into motion is a primary benefit of content management. It allows you to easily design well-defined processes that enforce business rules, set escalation schedules, and ensure that authorization procedures are followed. And it's how your work should be flowing, and you should be having. This one usually uses a diagram for that one to let you know how it's going to flow. And this diagram will be in particular per department or the type of job. So it's like the procedure of how you should be doing things, and that will be the workflow. So that was a glossary, and hopefully you didn't get too tired by listening to all of these words. You're going to have the time to just go back and read all of this information later on. So please just keep bearing with me and keep try to understand all of this information. So those were words related to documentation. And since documents nowadays are several of the documents are digitally or in digital form, that's what we talk about, a lot of use of software. But we need to talk about the types of documents that you're going to see in business. Since we're talking about from unit number 3 about business pitches, and then in this unit is about presenting your business. All that we talk in unit number 3, that it was about a proposal, the development of a prototype, and so on. So you need to write things, or different documents are going to be used. And most of these documents that we're going to mention in these several slides or visual aids are about the documents that every business should have. A few of them, maybe if your business or your company is not that big, maybe you're not going to have them. But most of these types of documents are like the most common ones that you're going to find in any place. So that's why you need to know the names of them, the vocabulary, how you talk about them, and what does those names of documents mean. Okay, so we're going to start talking about these ones. There's just a list of 23 different types of business documents. So you just need to be patient, and we're going to talk about all of them in a certain way as a resume. Okay, so this is the bylaws. What are the documentations of bylaws? Bylaws are the laws for the company, how the company was established to keep the organization in control and in regulation. The company's bylaws are the direct guidance given by the authority of the company. So this is like what we will call in Spanish, like the regulations, but the inside regulations for the company. So that's why they're called the bylaws. And these ones will keep the purpose, the responsibilities, the shareholder obligations and rights, the annual board meetings and schedule, and it also includes the process of appointment and removal of directors. So it's kind of like I said, like the regulations or rules, but also the kind of like the procedures, but the official ones, the decision on how the company is going to keep moving. So it also includes the process of appointment and removal of directors. So this is like very interesting. You should also include that. So this, like I was telling you, is like what we call like the inside regulations of a company, but we will call them like in Spanish, we will call them like los reglamentos, something like that. Kind of like the reglamentos internos, cómo se rige la compañía. So these are documents. It helps design a structure for the business and builds individual roles for the employees. It has resolves in dispute that takes place and streamlines the decision-making process. All right. So what it's making you clear, this does not need to be filed at the state office. This is not something like it's legal, like from outside the company. It's for the inside of the company, how you're going to be taking the company. That's why I said that in other different words, it could mean like regulations or rules or the procedures that are how, or that have the meaning of how the company keeps the things inside. And that's why I told you like the word in Spanish, or the closest word, we could call it like reglamentos internos, probably. Okay, any questions? No. Okay, we move forward.
No.
Thank you. I'm trying to go like fast because there's a lot of reading, and I'm trying to read kind of fast so we can finish like these 23 different type of documents. Yes, a non-disclosure agreement. This is very cool because most of the companies should have this. This is kind of like something, whenever you have something that should be confidential, like the picture that I'm using here, you should have this one, non-disclosure agreement. You need to have your people to sign this type of things, a non-disclosure agreement. That's how you call it. You don't call it like the confidential agreement. It's more related to the non-disclosure agreement. So you want to keep your the people who is going to be related to that activity or something that it might be a design from your client that you have to work it out in your factory. So you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So this is a line of defense for protection of sensitive information. You need to have these type of things, and it's for financial records, for clients, for customer details, countless other information that the company has sensitive. Some of you are going to find, or most of you that are going now for the internship in the companies, there's going to be some information that you are not going to be able to speak about it. Even if inside the company it's okay, but you are not going to be able to write it down or to report it to us, to the university, from your project, because there is information that is supposed to be non-disclosure. It's supposed to be confidential. So it should be better if you sign a disclosure agreement. But some companies are like very relaxed with that, but they shouldn't, because there is some information that it shouldn't just leave the company. Okay, so every business should have this type of agreement. But I've seen it, like so many companies, they don't do this, and then they lose information through their competitors, and so they can lose business just for not signing this type of things. Operating agreement, LLC, it's called like that. It's a key legal document that is necessary with more than 2 or 3 members. This is not a legal document, but it helps for decision making. So this is just for like inside the company, or the level of the company, for any agreement that is decided, especially from the board, the directive board, they should be signing an agreement. There should be a document that states that a decision was taken, that a movement is happening, that a change will happen. So you should have this type of document also. Minutes. I'm gonna take a minute to speak about this. And minutes is not about time. Minutes, it's about a report of a meeting. So there's people meeting, there should be hay una junta where there's people around, and every organization, this is something that it's common and it needs to happen. From every meeting, every reunion, you should have the minutes. Minutes is like a report. I'm gonna put it in simple words. It's like a report of what was said at the meeting. Or you could also say that this is like a resume of what happened in the meeting, and actually what you're supposed to record there is the agreements that happened. You had a meeting, and then there's people that you had to vote or decide in something, or you mentioned that you're going to be working or discuss that you were working on something else or the same work, but you need to put it in paper, in a document. It doesn't matter if it's just physical paper or if it is digital, as long as the people that is present in that meeting, they are signing, they are agreeing with what's written over there. Gilberto, you might remember that for the meetings last year that we were trying to build this group of Capunis, you were in charge of the minutes. The minutes are very important because that's the evidence of what happened in the meeting, in that reunion. So that's a healthy habit, and I have seen it. A lot of people gets together, they have a reunion, a meeting, una junta, and they forget about the minutes. And then they can't remember what happened, or people will disagree with what happened in the meeting. But if you have the minutes with all of the signatures, all of the people's signatures that were present, they're supposed to know that that happened. And it's a very good evidence. It's the institutional memory. So it has, like I told you, the attendees who was present at the meeting, the discussions, the decisions or actions, if something was elected, if something has to be purchased or was purchased, etc. So like it says here, it's to resolve any misunderstanding. Yes. So you need to have minutes, the minutes. And we call them in Spanish minutas, minutas de reunión, o de la junta, or wherever that happened. Minutas de reunión, the minutes. Employment agreement. And I showed a picture of that, something that says like a contract, because it's like a contract. Every employee has certain obligations and expectations, and the contracts state that. So if you're going to sign an agreement, you should be able to read it, and it tells you the obligations, but also the expectations. It sets the ground rules of the relationship between the organization and the employees. The culture and the vision of the company can be seen in action in the employee agreement. It might not be a legal requirement that you to have a contract, like by law, by the Mexican government will tell you that you have to have a contract, but it's better for the company. It's safer. It's a healthy way. So it is a business document that you should have. And if you have a contract that is signed by the two parts, by the company and by the employee, then any disagreement, you can just go back to the contract. And if you have a lawsuit, una demanda, you have the contract to make sure that you were fine. It also plays a role, like I was saying over there, in a dispute resolution between the company and the employee in the event of obstruction expectation of their working relationship. Any questions? Yeah, we're good? Okay.
Very good.
Thank you, Connie. Business plans. This is an easier way to understand what's a business plan, like it suggests, is a plan. And it's usually in paper, but you can have it in a digital way also. It's to analyze your market, competitors, and whatever is there. Understand how you will target the customers in your market. It gives you clarity on your business. So yeah, it's about planning on what's going to happen. And it's usually, you will have plans for annually. You will have annual plans, and you will have something that comes from it, like what happens monthly, and or every trimester, or every 4 or 6 months. So it's safer to have a plan, so you will know what will happen, or you can work according to the plan. The plans usually go and relate with the objectives of the company. So that's good to have. If you are going to have objectives, if you have a target for every year, you need to have a plan, and the plan should be a document. So you're gonna find it like that. It's a document. So business reports, we talk about this in the last semester, I think, and in this semester also. You have reports, different type of reports, and it keeps data, and it's data from different departments. People from a department are reporting to the board of members, I don't know. And there are different type of reports. I remember that you did a report in a memorandum in one of your homeworks. I think it was this semester, if I'm not mistaken. So business reports are facts and figures about certain departments. It includes aspects of your business that exist as a company data, which can be analyzed after that. It gives data like sales figures, marketing plans, the number of employees, teams, details about the founders, feasibility reports, safety compliance, and more and more. Business document that comes in handy when pitching the new investors on board or simply reviewing the company's progress. Like I said, business reports, we talked about them before. We don't need to keep talking too much about them. You understand the meaning of this. I'm just mentioning them. Financial agreements are also important documents. Like I said before, this is a lot of this vocabulary is about cognates. It's so related to Spanish because they do have the same roots. So you should be able to understand very easily and quick. As a business owner, you must have a strong grasp of your company finances. It is important to know whether you are within a budget, making profits, or spiraling losses. There are different types of business agreement documents, financial agreement documents. One is the P&L, balance sheet, projections, bank statement, and payroll reports. The P&L is profit and loss. Very, very important. You need to know if you are making profits or not. So you should have one type of document that tells you this. Balance sheet, los balances famosos, projections. What is the forecast for your financial? Bank statement, los estados bancarios. Payroll reports, if you are submitting information to the government also from every employee. This is something that is required by law. The number 5. Transactional documents, what are they? So these are key factors in keeping your financial statements organized through transactional documents. So these are documents that will be like receipts, invoices, order forms, transmission pages, etc. These documents will be approved in a legal case. And yeah, you should keep them safe. Some companies go farther and hire accountants to manage the company's finances and draw up reports. Normally, that will happen. You will have an accountant for that. It will have tu contador. That's an accountant, contador. And so, like, receipts are recibos, invoices, facturas, órdenes de compra, etc. Okay. So these are like documents that should exist in every company. It's safer. Business insurance. Not everyone has this, but it's important and you should be able to know what it means. There are risks in every business. So that's why it's good to have an insurance. It gives you safety that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. So you could have natural disasters. It can happen. Normally in the place where we live at, there is not such things. It doesn't happen like very frequently or just doesn't happen. But some other places, like if you live like close to the ocean or like the beach, there are you could have a disaster happening from rain. Then if you live in places like probably like in California, you can have an earthquake happening and you can lose your infrastructure, like your building. So those are losses that can happen. There could be a sabotage, like somebody can just steal from you. And so that's why a business insurance will be very helpful. Death or accidents, that's also a type of business insurance for all your partners or owners and employees, because it gives you a peace of mind just taking the insurance. Yeah, it will add the cost that you spend every year, but it will give you, like I said, a peace of mind, and it's a document. Most big companies that they have a lot of employees, they should have some type of insurance to be able to keep on going and in case of something happens. So furthermore, these are a management of risks. In case if you have a lawsuit, it can cover the lawsuit. So insurance are giving you, like I said, a peace of mind. It's better. And like I said, maybe in some places you can have natural disasters or like a fire could happen. And if you have insurance, nothing happens. Well, it happens because you have to deal with the process with that will bring, but you're covered. Partnership agreement, when you have partnership, like 2 or 3 or more people working. So if they're going to work together, it's a type of a contract that it needs to be signed. And like you were seeing, I showed a picture that you could see the documents and that every part signs that. So it's a partnership agreement, a business document that outlines the obligations, legal and operational, debt liability, profit sharing, as well as individual responsibility of the parties involved. Of all the people that is involved, the companies that are going to be involved, it's an agreement. And it should be, if you have different people working at the same time, then you should have this type of documents, like the one before, the partnership, or like this one, the co-founder agreement. Sometimes there is 2, 3, 4, or a group of people founding a new company. You need to have an agreement, because if it is not written in a document, some of those people can steal the company, because you just need to have the agreement. You need the document. Just remember that. Business pitch deck. What does it refers to? And it goes to what we've been speaking in this unit number 3 and number 4. New companies should create a powerful and insightful pitch deck that will essentially capture the essence of the company. It's sort of like what I'm showing here. This is from the Airbnb, like the model for the business. It's good, and it's a good option. This is an optional document. You should consider, if you are the owner of the company, to have this type of things. We could have a series of documents in a business pitch deck, which could be this list over here: the startup pitch, the e-commerce, corporate pitch, business plan pitch, advertising pitch, agency pitch, sales, product presentation, project proposal, and fundraising presentation, and so on. It could include as many different business documents for the starting of the business, as many as you need. Investor agreement is kind of like similar to the other ones. If someone is investing in your company, then you should have cleared what are his obligations and his rights. So this is critical for a company, and you should have a document. If you're the investor, you're going to request the document. If you are the one receiving the investment, you should have the document also. So it's safer to just have a document for this. Board of resolutions, you should have documentation for this. The board resolution are decisions taken in a board meeting. A board is like la junta de los directores o directivos o los managers. So, si tienes decisiones en esas juntas, deberías de tener documented. And that's why this is a little different as what we call it the minutes. It's sort of like, it's kind of similar, but it's a little different, because this is more for the board meetings and for resolutions, for what you voted, what is going to be different. And it should have the signatures, of course. This is like the similarity for the minutes. But like I said, it's a different document. In Spanish, we will call them like the actas. actas de directivo o consejos de directivos o las reuniones de directivos. Podrías llamarle consejos, which is like the directive board. So you should have this type of documents. It exists in every company. So the documents could be like the board resolution for change in name of the company, for closing of a bank account, for opening of a company bank account, for providing a loan, for a sale agreement, for approving subdivision of issued shares, for approving the sale of shares. These are very, very important decisions, something that is going to change the way that the company is moving. So therefore, you should have this type of document, and you're going to encounter this type of document once you start working on your career. Another one will be what is called the ESOP's agreement, which is about the employee stock option plan. Some companies are going to have this, some are not going to have. This is a very safe way to work. And I believe that the companies that work with these stock option plans, they are the ones who have stocks. The main bursátil stocks from, well, in our country, La Bolsa de Valores. And the most famous one is the one in New York, and so on. So employee stock options plans, also known as ESOPs, share the stocks offered by a company to its employees at a discounted price. So whenever those companies that go to the stocks que cotizan en bolsa, they are supposed to offer the stocks to the employees. The employees, by the law, should be able to buy stocks for the company that they are working with. And there should be agreements, there should be agreements inside the company that state on how this goes between the employers and the companies. So it's an agreement that includes, like it says here, the shares allotted, the name of the employee, the strike price, the date, the vesting schedule, and maturity, and so on. There could be more information on it. Like I said, not all of the companies do this, but big companies, international companies that they do have stocks, they will be talking about this and included this type of document. Accounting agreement. This goes for your accountant or para sus contadores. The accounting agreement is a document of mutual understanding between the bookkeeper and the company discussing services and arrangements. Likewise, this agreement is also known as bookkeeper agreement and can be used as a one-time or retainer basis. This will be a common document, and you may or may not be in touch with one of these depending on the place in the company that you're going to be working. If you are a person who is going to work in management, you're going to encounter these type of agreements. A franchise agreement, and I decided to include one of the most famous franchise in the world, which is McDonald's. So for you to understand what we're talking about, this should be a document if you have business operations and if you are the owner of a franchise. You should have a mutual written contract agreement between you and the franchisor, or, well, the franchisor and the individual who wants to enter the franchise agreement. So there should be a document, always. Like the people that has the management for Oxos, they do have, Oxos is not understood as a franchise, but it works as a franchise because another people works for it and holds the management of the store and holds the management of the people of the store. So that's why they do have an agreement, a written agreement. they don't call it a franchise, but I really don't understand why not, because it is a franchise. The trademark is intellectual property documents and distinguish your company or brand from the others in the market. You can register it, which is safer, or you can just keep it not registered, but it will keep the legal part safe. So it's better to just have your trademark in your document. So you will find another document that is about that. There are also compliance documents that are like memorandums, articles of association, certificate of incorporation, adequate business license. So this is more like, this goes to the legal part of the company, that you should have this type of documents. Like over here, you are also getting the GST certificate, which is goods and service tax. In Mexico, we do have like the SAT, and it's like all of the certificates that you do have for the compliance with the government. Like every month, you need to be compliant with taxes. And then this is an annual taxes compliance, but it's a document that you should have. So just to make sure that I was going to mention this type of documents, these are, like I said, it's legal documents. Then there is other type of documents, like an agreement with vendors. A vendor agreement is a mutual written agreement between the company and its vendor. It details the scope of services, compensation, tenure assignment, privacy policy, confidentiality statement, working conditions and obligations. Additionally, a renewal process for all the documents should be part of documentation, and necessary reminders should be set to avoid missing out on any business opportunity. So there should be an agreement, a document for the agreement with the vendors. Los vendedores. Client agreement, that's also another one. If your company has 2, 3, 5 different clients, they should have an agreement with all of them, so that we keep safe, because there might be terms of payment. If we have a dispute with them, a discussion that we cannot solve, it should be in the agreement, in this type of document. It should be written, and it should be a signed document also. The liabilities and termination clauses also. The client agreement essentially defines the code of conduct and the expectations of both the parties involved. It's very important that we keep client agreements. That's another type of document that you're going to find and encounter. And finally, but almost like to the end, because you're going to be working with this type of documents, like I said, you're going to have a little assignment about vocabulary for these that what we have covered. And so the final is the company policy, las políticas de la compañía. And normally it's like a book. I believe that here in Mexico we have like, it's sort of like the book understood to be like the manual that has all of the policies that are expected inside the company. And so it has like the around health, safety, employee conduct, statutory policies, salary and compensation, workplace policies, substance abuse, etc. So it also has like the regulations. So like I'm saying, sometimes it's like a manual, and sometimes they just follow like that, like the company policy. So it creates a backbone of company, and this should exist. This should be a huge, big document for the company. Every company should have this type of document. All right, any questions? I believe this is the end of this. Yes, we got to the end.
No.
Okay, so what you were listening right now, it was about vocabulary. Mainly, we talk about vocabulary that you were encounter with documentation for a business. Since we are going to this unit is about presenting your business. We're moving towards presenting it. So we need to make sure that we know more about the vocabulary and get a little more related with it. And that's why we started with that, with vocabulary. And like I said, you're going to have an assignment, an exercise that is about vocabulary, like fill in the blank and choose this vocabulary for this and that. So it's about vocabulary that you should be able to know. If you don't know it, you can use a dictionary, you can translate that and make sure that you understood. You can ask me, just contact me for advice through the week and we'll get through it. If you have any questions, any further questions later on, like I said, just make sure to contact me and ask me before you answer those and so you're safe to go. Okay? So it was nice talking to you, nice seeing you. This is one of the classes that I speak a lot and you're just quiet and trying to listen to it, but it's useful and hopefully you learn something today. I'll see you next time. Okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you later,
Bye.
guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.